Hello, today I want to talk about Star Ocean and a bit of a game discussion on this. So, first off, if you don't know Star Ocean, it's a series of Japanese role playing games that has been around it looks like it's been around for quite a while. My first time I played any of these games was Star Ocean The Last Hope, and I played that on Xbox 360. I've also gone on to play Integrity and Faithfulness, which is Star Ocean 5, and for the rest of this video I'm going to call it Star Ocean 5. It's a lot easier. So at this moment in time we have Star Ocean 5, we have Last Hope, and we also have Till the End of Time, which are available on the PlayStation 4 store, or PlayStation Store if you want to be pernickety. And so those are available. The Last Hope has an HD and 4K remaster. Till the End of Time has been beefed up a little bit in the HD visuals. It looks like it's showing its age a bit graphically, and from the shots I've seen of it, having not played it myself, I don't know how good it is, but it's available and I might get it at some point. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. We've got 3 games. The 2 most recent ones, and possibly what you might say is an old gem of the series. But by the looks of it, it's one of these series that is only kind of being visited once a console generation, really. And that's maybe because of who's developing it. Because its main development studio, I suppose, and the team that are behind the 5th one are, have a drum roll and pause the video and take a wild guess. It's Square Enix. Of course, they kind of have a bit of a monopoly on this genre at the moment, and they have had for quite a long time. So really it means that this game has kind of been dropped down the priority list, I would have thought, and it's just one of these franchises that maybe is going to get overlooked compared to maybe other ones. Although because maybe of the kind of the massive gap and the delay with Kingdom Hearts 3, which I'm going to talk about maybe in another video, is maybe prompted the company to give the other games a bit of a look and maybe a remaster or a tidy up and put out there for people to play in the kind of gap between the initial release of Kingdom Hearts 3, which was going to be last year, and then the new release date. So it's a bit of a sad way to look at it, really, when the game is maybe the franchise will be relegated to that sort of thing. It's just, okay, we need to fill the void until we release this next big game that we're working on. Here's an HD remaster of your series, or the most recent version of your series. And it's just it seems a bit of a shame, really. I really enjoyed Integrity and Faithfulness, although it was a tad on the short side, and it did have its little controversies during the development. Last Hope was really, really good. It was really big. And I was really surprised that in the era of the Xbox 360 to have a game that was still over 3 discs. There is a really long cutscene in there as well, and a long battle that you've got to go through, and then you get this long cutscene that kind of spans over the end of disc 2 and into disc 3. I think the disc, from what I looked up, disc 3 I think it's just the last level and part of this massive mammoth cutscene. So had the cutscene been a lot shorter, we might have seen this over just 2 discs. But it's good. It's a good game. It's a solid 60-hour game if you like that sort of thing. Unfortunately, Integrity and Faithfulness, or like I said, I'm going to call it 5, is a lot shorter than that. You can probably, with me, I played a lot of the side quests and a lot of fetching and what have you. Even then, it still didn't run me anywhere near to 55 or 60 hours. It's considerably shorter than that. And that's probably one of the reasons why it maybe didn't do so well. This is a series that maybe fans are more used to being long drawn out titles, and this one being a lot shorter. maybe because it just didn't have the time and the staff to develop such a long, massive game. And that's probably another indication of maybe where Square see this series. Is maybe not as one of these massive sprawling RPGs, but more kind of just as maybe a smaller chunk, a smaller story, kind of maybe not as expansive, but maybe more just as an easily digestible size of game. But we never know. We never know. Given that how big we're going to be going with Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm going to touch on in another video, it's a bit of a shame that this series is going to be dropped down the priority lists and maybe getting less development time and maybe becoming a lot smaller. And possibly it could be that the series might be gone. We might not see it again on home console. So that's kind of what I want to talk a bit about now. Where does this series see itself, and kind of how can it survive? I also want to look at the competition it's going to face on different platforms. So first off, if we look at PC, PlayStation, whatever it's going to be, the next PlayStation, it may be 5, and Xbox, whatever the next Xbox is going to be. So if we're staying on home consoles then, where is this game going to fit? It's going to have to battle against, there's a good possibility we're going to see a port of the Kingdom Hearts, unless there's a massive gap. But let's just focus on. So there's a good possibility it might see itself up against a port of Kingdom Hearts 3, a new Final Fantasy game, probably a new Persona game, maybe a new new franchise Ni no Kuni. We might see Ni no Kuni 3. We've also got Dragon Quest. There's inevitably going to be a Dragon Quest game in there somewhere. So there's a lot of from Square themselves. That we might see another Nier outing, and it's just there's so many games, not just from Square Enix but from other developers as well, and with likes of Persona that are going to come out and challenge Star Ocean and kind of maybe do things a lot differently. So where its niche is probably going to be, it may be under threat. We might see a new IP coming to the market. So home consoles, it's going to be quite difficult. Handheld then. So the handheld market is kind of stymied a little bit because of mobile. We've got the Switch. It's unlikely to go on to a Nintendo console, but you never know with things like that anymore. So you might see a version on the Switch. We might see something on the 3DS if the 3DS survives. So on the kind of the handheld market, if we're going handheld for a minute, it's got to compete against so many different other games as well. You've also got Fire Emblem on there. There's possible remakes of old Final Fantasy games releases that we might see. Again, Square coming into this. And it's going to have to also come up against possibly, we've got Octopath Traveler as well. And there's a numerous number of kind of games that are either not quite RPGs, kind of maybe, but more sort of turn-based battling, kind of the thing you might expect to see in a Japanese RPG, kind of games that fit that mold. And also, you've got to remember Pokemon. On handheld, it's going to have to come up against Pokemon. And to be honest, not many things are going to come up against Pokemon and survive, unless they can fit into another niche that Pokemon doesn't have. Even if Pokemon is winning in popularity. So, handheld-wise, there's a lot of competition as well. Mobile, maybe not so much we're going to see in the way of sprawling RPGs on mobile devices. Maybe as they get better over the years, we might see them. And a smaller kind of bite-sized RPG might work. We have got I think we've got a few ports of Final Fantasy games again that are on mobile devices. We've also got Nintendo stepping into the ring. They've got Mario Go. it's a Mario Jump or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. And there's also Pokemon Go as well. Again, Pokemon. So there's a lot of competition, and also from the free to play market as well. So this game comes up against quite a lot of competition, and maybe even home console mainstays, mobile consoles, um, sort of portable games like 3DS. It's going to come up against a lot of competition there. It's going to come up against a lot of competition in mobile as well. So this game is going to have to really stand out. And if there's any kind of controversy with the development or any kind of backlash against how small it is or whatever, people not buying it and fans kind of maybe forgetting about it, it's going to be stuck with maybe a small band of hardcore fans. The franchise could possibly die away, which is a shame, and maybe replaced with another IP. We've got I Am Setsuna. There's also a few other kind of indie titles kicking about as well, and the good old 8-bit and 16-bit sort of indie titles that are kicking about as well. So there's a lot of competition from different directions, also entirely from Square themselves. So it's a franchise I think could flourish if either they adapt and do something new, or hope that the brand of kind of sort of medieval kind of arcane magic with a cross of technology still works and is still relevant. If it loses its relevance, then I think I really don't hold that much hope for this franchise, to be honest. It's a bit of a shame. I really enjoyed Last Hope. I enjoyed 5. I'm sure I'll play until the end of time as well at some point. So I honestly don't know where we're going to see this franchise going. I hope it continues, but really I think it's going to be way, way down the priority list. The only way it's going to, I think, survive is if Square, not so much a partnership like with Tri-Ace, but actually farm it to somebody else and are basically just going to publish it. So we might see it developed by Crystal Dynamics perhaps. Maybe even, it might be quite good for them to work with someone maybe like Insomniac or Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog have done the Uncharted series, so they are kind of versed with some games of this sort, I suppose. It might be a different kind of take on it, and it might need something like the Uncharted formula sort of applied to this franchise to kind of give it something new, something interesting. Otherwise, it could just be another RPG, and that's the last thing I think Square would want, is to just pump out another RPG into the world and kind of saturate the market. If you look at the ones that maybe the fans really enjoy and are really kind of drawn to, they have their niches and they have their kind of main selling points. So let's just wrap this up. I've gone on long enough. I think that Star Ocean, I think it could possibly be evolve or die, and I don't see it evolving. So unfortunately, I think this, for me, sadly, is a franchise that is going to disappear. It's not, I think, going to survive. We might be lucky enough to see one on PS, whatever it's going to be, PS5, and Xbox, whatever they're going to call the new Xbox console. But I honestly don't know. I think its future might be, if it's going to have a future, it might end up on handheld. It might even end up on mobile in a different format to an RPG. That's quite possibly what it's going to end up as, I think, if it's going to survive as a franchise. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you a fan of this franchise? Do you play the games? And which ones have you played? Okay, thank you for your time. Cheers.